extravaganza to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cooking with Maryann.
Hi there, I'm Maryann, and today I'm going to show you how to make meat gravy. If you're Italian from New Jersey, you know it's gravy and not sauce. So we're starting off with 2 cloves of garlic that I'm going to chop up. So now some people take their garlic and they brown it first. We're going to turn our pot on, let it get a little hot. Always make sure you keep your hands clean. You don't want to cook with dirty hands. Put a couple of turns of olive oil in. Oh, I would say about 3 or 4. See down there, you want to coat your bottom. Coat the bottom with olive oil. Get it going there. You want to heat your pot up to about medium. So our oil now is getting nice and heated. You can see how it's got a nice little coating there down at the bottom of the pan. And now we're going to add our garlic. We're also going to be using, I like Cento tomatoes. Cento all-purpose crushed tomatoes because they have a nice kind of thickness to them. 1 can of tomatoes and 1 can of paste. Whenever you're making a meat gravy, you always want to use 1 can of paste. It's different from a marinara. Marinara, you don't use the paste. You want it light. But when you use a meatball, sausage, any kind of meat, you want to use a can of paste. So we're going to stir up our garlic a little bit here. You can hear it. Can you hear it? Starting to sizzle. It's getting that nice garlic and olive oil smell. Now let that come to a nice little sizzle there. I'm going to turn the heat up just a little. And then we're going to be throwing our meat in soon. And the meat, you want to let it brown, but you don't want to break it up too much. You want to leave it a little bit chunky. And there goes our meat. This is about 3 pounds of ground round. That's the best meat to me to use in something like this because it's got some flavor and it's not too fatty. Ground round is usually about an 85-15 as far as the fat content. So our meat's starting to cook now with the garlic. You can see it's starting to brown a little bit. Like I said, you want to keep it a little bit chunky. See how you got some nice chunks in there? It's still got a little ways to go, but we're going to start putting some seasoning in. I like to use the sea salt. So I do a couple of pinches about like that, which probably equals about maybe a teaspoon. So you're going to put some salt in. We're going to put some fresh ground pepper. Just maybe about a teaspoon there. So we put our pepper, maybe not quite a teaspoon yet. We're going to put a little oregano. That you don't want to go too heavy on. A few sprinkles like that. That's probably about a half a teaspoon. We're going to add more seasoning once we put the tomatoes in. But this will just start to get our meat a little bit flavored as it's cooking along with the garlic. So our meat is pretty much done and we're getting ready to put the tomatoes in. You see how it's still got some chunks in it? Got some nice little chunks here. You want to keep some chunks like that. And you got a little bit of water from the meat. That's fine. Now we're going to put our tomatoes in. 1 can of crushed all-purpose tomatoes. Having a hard time getting that one out. 1 can of tomato paste. And then we're going to add some water into the cans to rinse them out. And also to add to the gravy. I used to wake up on Sunday mornings to this sound when I was a kid. My mother making gravy. Banging the spoon on the pot, getting the tomato paste out of the can. Then she'd make the meatballs. She makes better meatballs than me. So when we do the spaghetti and meatball episode, she's going to be the one doing the meatballs. Then it'll be cooking with Nani. So we're going to mix this all up and put some more of our seasoning in. I'm going to put some parsley. I would say probably a couple of teaspoons of parsley, a little bit more oregano. I'm going to add a little bit more salt now that our tomatoes in there. Just another pinch or so. Some more black pepper. Turn this down, it's starting to boil too much. And then we're going to rinse our cans. Some water. Stir it around. You're going to fill up almost all the way your tomato paste can. And these are the little cans, 6 ounces. Stir it. Doesn't that look good? We're going to add a little bit of water to our crushed tomato can to also rinse that out. Sometimes you have to add more, but I don't like to start with too much because the meat does make some liquid in there. So we're going to use not quite a half a can. And that's the 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, the big one. So you want it to look something like this, and it's going to start cooking.
That's it.
You stir it up. That's about the thickness that you want. You see, it's nice and meaty. You know, let's give it a little taste, see if we need to add anything else to it. Tastes pretty good. I like to add some basil now, and I got fresh basil that I'm growing outside. I love basil in my gravy. I like to put some in now while it's cooking, and then when it's almost done, I'll add a little bit more. Boy, you can smell that. That smells so good, that basil. We stir it up. And then we're going to cover it. We're going to let it simmer. Want to bring it up to a little bit of a boil. You can see it's starting to move around a little bit. Then we're going to put a cover on it. Turn it down to about around low, but you want to keep an eye on it, and it's going to cook for about an hour. Check it every 10 to 15 minutes and stir it because you don't want it to stick. You want it to just have a nice little simmer going on there. It takes about an hour and then it's done. Now we're going to add a little bit more basil, and we're going to put a little bit of pepper flakes in. And that's it. Our gravy is almost done. Another 10 minutes and it'll be finished. Okay, let's check our gravy. Looks good. It's been cooking about an hour and that looks perfect. So our meat gravy is done. We can use this for a lot of different things. One is lasagna, which I think I'm going to make tomorrow. So join me then. Bye!
And don't forget to come back for the next episode when Maryann cooks up her famous homemade lasagna. Subscribe, favorite, like, cook away. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen,